The cage door rattled as she walked past. Inside, a pile of bones barely moved. At first, she thought the dog was already gone, but then she saw it. One shallow breath, then another. This wasn't just a sick dog. This was a soul hanging on by a thread, waiting for someone to prove that life could be different. You know, every week I walk through shelters and see dozens of dogs hoping for a second chance. But when I saw this pit bull for the first time, something broke inside me. Maybe it was the way his ribs pressed against his skin like prison bars. Maybe it was how his eyes followed me, not begging, just asking one simple question. Are you the one? If you care about rescue stories that prove love can heal anything, hit that subscribe button right now, because what you're about to hear will change how you see these misunderstood dogs forever. And honestly, if you're still here watching but haven't subscribed, that breaks my heart a little. We need people like you who actually care. Let me take you back to where this story really begins. His name was Maverick, though most shelter staff just called him the Pitbull in Kennel 47. He'd been there for 1,000 days. Yes, you heard that right. Almost 3 years in a concrete cell, watching thousands of people walk by, choosing other dogs, younger dogs, prettier dogs, easier dogs. But Maverick's story started long before those shelter walls. He was found collapsed on a highway exit ramp in the middle of winter. A trucker spotted him and called animal control, assuming he was already dead. When the officer arrived, Maverick lifted his head just once. That tiny movement saved his life.
Drums keep pounding a rhythm to
The vet's report was devastating. Severe malnutrition, dehydration, infected wounds covering his back and legs, a fractured hip that had healed wrong, leaving him unable to walk properly. Mange so bad he'd lost most of his fur, and heartworm, stage 3. The vet estimated he weighed maybe 35 pounds. A healthy male pit bull his age should weigh 70. I don't know how he's still alive, the vet told the shelter director. His will to survive is the only thing keeping him going. They started treatment immediately, but the road was brutal. Maverick couldn't stand for more than a few minutes without collapsing. He couldn't eat solid food. Every injection, every medication, every small step forward came with setbacks. Some staff members quietly suggested euthanasia might be kinder, but the director refused. He's fighting, she said. We owe it to him to fight too. Weeks turned into months. Maverick's fur started growing back in patches. He gained weight slowly, painfully slowly. Physical therapy helped him walk again, though he limped badly. But here's the heartbreaking part. As his body healed, his spirit seemed to dim. He'd sit in his kennel, staring at the wall, as if he'd used up all his hope just surviving. And then the waiting began. 1,000 days of watching potential adopters stop at his kennel, read his card, and walk away. Pitbull, special needs, requires experienced owner, medical history. Each label another reason to choose someone else. The shelter staff loved him. They'd take him out for short walks, let him lie in the sun, give him extra treats. But every night, he went back to Kennel 47. Every morning, he woke up in the same place. After a while, he stopped getting excited when people approached. He'd learned that hope was just another way to get hurt. Sarah Martinez had been volunteering at the shelter for 2 years. She'd seen Maverick's kennel hundreds of times, but always walked past. Pit bulls scared her, if she was honest. She'd heard the stories, believed the stereotypes. But one Saturday morning, the shelter was reorganizing, and Maverick was moved to a different kennel, right by the entrance. Sarah almost tripped over a water bowl and had to grab the kennel door to steady herself. She found herself face to face with Maverick, and something happened she didn't expect. He didn't bark, didn't lunge, didn't do any of the things she'd feared. He just looked at her with the most exhausted, gentle eyes she'd ever seen, and slowly wagged his tail once. "How long has he been here?" she asked the staff member nearby. 987 days. Sarah felt something crack in her chest. She'd been volunteering for 2 years. This dog had been waiting longer than she'd even known about this place. That night, she couldn't sleep. She kept seeing those eyes, that one tired tail wag, the visible ribs under patchy fur. The next weekend, she came back with a question that surprised even herself. "Can I take Maverick home for a weekend trial?" The shelter director nearly cried. "Yes, absolutely yes!" That first car ride was terrifying for both of them. Maverick had never been in a car that wasn't taking him somewhere bad. He shook the entire 20-minute drive. Sarah talked to him nonstop, nonsense really, just letting him hear a calm voice. When they pulled into her driveway, Maverick wouldn't get out. He pressed himself into the back seat, trembling. "It's okay, buddy," Sarah whispered. "You're safe now, I promise." It took 15 minutes of patience before Maverick finally stepped onto her driveway, and then he just stood there, frozen, staring at grass, real grass, not the small concrete yard at the shelter, an actual lawn. Sarah's husband, Marcus, came out and stopped in his tracks. "Sarah, he can barely walk." "I know." "He's terrified?" "I know." "We're keeping him, aren't we?" Sarah nodded, tears streaming down her face. "We're keeping him." That first night was rough. Maverick wouldn't eat. He curled up in the corner of their living room and didn't move for hours. Around midnight, Sarah found him trying to climb into his old shelter position, pressed against the wall, making himself as small as possible. "No, baby," she said softly, spreading a thick dog bed in front of the couch. "You don't have to do that anymore." Maverick looked at the bed like it was a trick, but eventually exhaustion won. He collapsed onto it and was asleep in seconds. Sarah sat next to him all night, one hand resting on his side, feeling his ribs expand and contract, reminding herself he was real, he was here, he was finally safe.